stand at ease, soft feet, soft ankles, soft knees, dropping your tailbone. Soften your shoulders, take your chin in, long spine. So today we're going to oil the joints or silk reeling of the joints. And we'll go through the spine and the arms and the legs and just get everything loosened up a little bit. And we'll start with our old classic knocking on the door of life. So we're wanting to enliven the spine. So first of all, we're going to just do a rotation through the spine. You're not breaking the line of the spine by bending at the waist. Try and keep your spine erect, long and spacious, and let your arms just come into the movement as you turn. Arms are knocking on Ming Men, which is the door of life at the back, and in front, just below the belly, on a point called the Sea of Energy. So this is a really good exercise to start early in the morning. So if it is early in the morning, you could do it a little bit faster. You're knocking on the kidneys, so you're going to stimulate the kidneys. On top of them, the adrenal glands. That's going to give you a bit of cortisol and adrenaline to give you a bit of boomer energy to walk out into the day with. So depending on the temperature and what your day has ahead of you, you can either knock a little bit more softly or a little firmer. Right, and then we're going to keep knocking on Ming Men, the door of life behind, and one hand's coming up into shoulder nest, that little hollow just below the end of the collarbone, over your lung 1 and 2. So keep up a little bit of a rhythm here. Activating the lungs, activating your immunity, and then one hand over the angle of the neck, coming over gallbladder 31, which is either needled or acupressured to give you clarity of mind. And then come down again to the lung 1 and 2 points, first and second ribs, and then back to the belly. So we have moved in the spine in rotational direction, and then we're going to move it backwards and forwards. So opening and closing the spine, spinal cord breathing. Soft fist as you come back. Open the groin, opening your pec minor muscles here, keeping your chin tucked in, and then rounding the lower back, rounding your neck in, and opening behind the shoulder blades as you breathe out. Breathing in. Do it slowly so you get a nice stretch. Feel as if your spine is like the pearls and the string and the necklace, and each one is moving relative to the other one. And down. Breathing in. As we're doing this, we're also pumping the cerebrospinal fluid into the brain and right down the spine. And that's where the spine and the brain is getting nourishment from. In through the nose and out through the nose. Just do it in your own pace. So your back goes into a little bit of a C, and then it goes in a forward bend over there. And then turn to the side so you get a nice opening of the joint where the rib joins onto the vertebra. Breathe out forward, in and open. You probably feel quite a lot of creaking of the joints here. That's why we're oiling them. So when we do repeated movements of the joints, each time we get a little bit more range of motion there. And you can get very, very stiff in the thoracic spine, and then you can't breathe properly because the ribs can't actually open up as stiff joints at the spine. And relax. And then we'll go to a side bend and we'll pick some cherries. So tailbone is staying rooted down, chin tucked in, and you stretching up so you open the space between the last ribs and your pelvis. Give it a little bit of time as you reach the cherry, and you can imagine this hand is pulling the branch down a bit and then over. Keep your chin tucked in, but look at the top hand going up. You can breathe in as you stretch and breathe out as you come down. Stretch, 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 giving the fascia time to soften as you stretch. A little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. Feel the stretch going all the way down to your pelvis. Feel that gap between the pelvis and the ribs opening, opening, opening. A lot of people, when they're old, they actually rub their last rib against the pelvis because they've become so bent over. You kind of lose the competition with gravity. And come down. Right. Hands up at the shoulder level, and let's cleanse. Cleanse as we drop and turn. So dropping and turning, coming up, and just drop your arms. And as you drop, it's an out breath through the mouth as you cleanse. And relax, and just close your eyes for a second and just notice how you feel. See if you've got a little bit more softness coming through the body, a little bit more movement between the right and left side and backwards and forwards. And let Rooster spread his wings here. So shoulders rolling up, down and back, forwards, up, round and back. And that movement carries on and goes right across through your waist to the opposite hip and knee. So it's a full body movement. In Qigong, we really think about all your movements going through the center of your body, and then you're really, really strong. And all the muscles help each other. So creaks are good. We're gliding the shoulder blade up and down over the ribs. There's about 3 different layers of muscle and fascia there, and any of them can become kind of stuck and glued together. And then you lose your shoulder movement. And a lot of people are stuck with their shoulders forwards, which really compromises their breathing. So this is lovely to open up. Just notice how you get a beautiful opening of your pec minor in front of the shoulder there. And then come forwards, up and over. And now we're really rolling those shoulder blades over the ribs. Let this movement go right down to your feet. Okay, and then drop your arms. And let's do wise owl turns his head to prevent the 7 fatigues and the 11 illnesses. So hands off, back of the hands facing forwards as you start. Tai Chi Qigong posture, drop your tailbone, head lifted up to the sky, soft shoulders. And you're going to turn to the side, letting your eyes lead the way. And as you turn, you open your shoulders and your hands face forwards, the palms face forwards. And then the palms turn as you come back to center. So breathing in to turn to look at the side. Open your palms to the front. And breathe out, coming back again. Allow your knees to soften, your hips to sink down a little bit. And do it slowly so that you have time to get really smooth movement through the joints of the neck. So you're oiling the joints of the neck. Silk reeling. And you may notice that as you repeat this, you get more opening through the shoulders. You also get slightly increased turn of your head as you go around. And as you turn, don't let your chin go up and down. Turn as if your chin was on a piece of glass. Edge of a very soft table. Certainly couldn't cut you. Okay, so have a very good feeling about it. So wise owl turning his head. Oiling the joints of the neck. And coming forwards. Right, let's circle through the wrists, circling through the wrists, and at the same time open the fingers so that your palm is softening and opening as you're doing this. And as you're doing this, notice that you're getting a lovely movement through your elbows at the same time. You can move around on your feet. You don't have to stand stock still. Feel as if you could be working with silk, or you could be spinning wool. Doing this at the same time, change direction. I sort of have this image of quite a big spider spinning his web, because every morning when I walk down to the beach, I go along this little path, and every morning he's spun across the path again, and I have to break through about 5 or 6 of his threads. He's got a very big web on the other side of the path, but I feel guilty every morning that I do it. And around. But we haven't had a personal meeting yet, so that's fine. And shake. Shake through the wrist, bringing a bit more blood into the hands. And the shaking just actually helping to loosen up your finger joints. As you get older, your fingers can get really, really stiff. So this is a really nice way to just ease them. You know, like sometimes you need to move a rock and you can't just push it, but you can shake it loose, or you can shake a door loose. So you can shake joints as well. We have joints in our fingers just like we have hinges on doors. Okay, and then we're going to go up and activate the doors of the gates of the arms, which is 3 fingers above the wrist. And this is our wrist crossed position. So you could hold your hands up just in front of your face and knock them together. So here we're stimulating on the inside of the arm, pericardium 6, and on the outside of the arm, your triple heater 5. Both are known as very strong immune points. And the inner one is for emotional immunity, pericardium 6, which is also your point for nausea. And the outer one is for immunity of your body. So if you physically had a very, very low immunity, it would be really good to knock this. So having activated these points, let's do another clearing move where we go to part the clouds. So 45 degrees, 1 foot forwards, and you're going to take your wrist, cross your wrist, not actually touching, but keeping them opposite each other there. Push forwards and part the clouds. Coming down, forwards, and feel as if you are parting the clouds, making more space, clearing your vision, clearing your to-do list, clearing anything that's been hovering around that has been holding you back or keeping you from doing the things you need to do. Let's breathe out as we go forwards. Breathe in as we come back. Breathe out. And each time, have a different hand in front. Step forward with the other foot and clear. Clear upwards. Watch your hands as they go away from you. It's always great to have your vision following something that is moving and here with the movement of your hands. It's really great for your tracking of your eyes and for the muscles inside the eyes to have to contract, relax. Especially when we do a lot of work on computers and cell phones. So if you're outside, you can watch your hands, but then let your eyes drift into the distance at the same time. And step back. And let's row the boat into the center of the lake. Bending your knees, coming up. As you bend your knees, sink down on your hips. Imagine that you're rowing the boat. A huge, quiet lake to the center. Just imagine the water dripping off the oars, the sound of the strokes of your oars. And that your mind has got space to be in a meditative space, to wander, to notice the thoughts that just come up. Hands on your hips, just below the ribs, and let's get some movements through the waist and the hips and the pelvis. And you can bend your knees here as well, and you can move through the shoulders. So let it be a kind of generous movement. Just getting a lovely circle right through all your internal organs. Be really happy that you're doing this. They're all gliding next to each other, making space so they can all function in their own little spaces. Change direction. And put your feet together. Soften your knees, hands on your knees, and support your knees as you circle through them. Knees are hinge joints, so you can't really do a real circle, but it's kind of a circle with square edges. And again, as we do the silk reading, we are actually oiling the joints, because when you do repetitive movements, the synovial fluid in your joint is released by the synovial membrane, lovely shiny silky membrane covering the joints. And when we do nice movements like this, it actually secretes more of that lovely juice that nourishes the joint endings. So this is great for us. And you can imagine when you sit for hours, either in an airplane or a car or with a computer, everything is pretty much still. So your body is really crying out for a bit of movement and a little bit more juice. This joint movement class that I'm doing here is something when I travel. I used to travel a lot of flying, you know, sort of 20, 30 hours sometimes. And each time I landed up at a hotel room or an overnight stay, I would not go to bed until I'd done about 30 minutes of Qigong, just oiling all the joints and breathing, making a huge difference. And relax. Whew. Okay, so the deer is going to go running in the forest. One foot in front of the other. So get a nice position, not one foot directly behind, but at the sides. You've got nice balance. And you're going to be doing a lunge backwards and forwards. And here your hooves are. So just get that lunge first. And then what you're going to do is one arm is going to go forwards, other one forwards. Let's just get that right. Okay, back and back, back and back. It's just tricky to get the rhythm going here. Okay, so going back and back, back and back. So you take your weight forwards and back as you do it. Slow it down. And you'll probably feel some nice crunching as you do this. Try and keep your elbows relatively straight. So you've got long arms here. Back. So it's called deer running. So once you've kind of got your coordination going, then you can run off through the trees, down the valley. But initially I think you can just stumble a little bit. Not quite the grace of the deer, but we're working on it. You can work on it. It's actually a lovely movement to do because, again, it uses the whole body and you're moving the legs at the same time as well. So there's a lot of coordination involved in this and timing. But just feel comfortable with it. You might make a tiny circle. You might make a bigger circle. Opposite leg in front. Again, just feel that you've got a good stance there that's supportive. And you can keep your balance. And then arms up and elbows relatively straight. And little hooves. And going back and back each time. Shifting your weight forwards and back at the same time. And see, I'm going to have to do more work on this one myself. Just get the right rhythm going there. Forwards and back, forwards and back, forwards and back, forwards and back, and relax. Hands on two tigers, little tigers' heads. And let's get some movement coming through the feet. So 80% of the weight on the standing foot, 20% on the other. So you've got a full leg and an empty leg. So rotating through the toes and then feel the long bones of your foot moving. And then the little square chunky foot before you get to the ankle and then the ankle joint itself. Going up to the knee, a little bit of circling through the knee. Again, that hinge joint not giving you a smooth circle, but giving you a nice backward and forward movement. And then into the hip. So the hip is a ball and socket joint. So you should have some beautiful gliding movement of the ball in the hip socket. And then focus going the opposite way. Think about your hip first, the movement of the hip there. And then the knee. And then into the ankle. And the ankle bones and the long bones of the foot and the toes. Little toe, middle toes, all the way to the big toe. And one foot back, opposite foot in front. Again, get your weight distribution, 80%, 20%. Hands over on the tiger's heads for your balance. And off you go. Feel the balls of all the toes. Notice how your instep feels. Feel the long bones, little bones in front of your ankle. Tailbone's dropped, your spine is long, chin is tucked in. Movement going through your knee joint. And then through the hip joint. This is the movement that the fishermen do when they're in the wet sand and they're looking for the white mussels under the sand, only they do it a lot faster. And I do believe they use their heels to find those mussels that they're going to use for bait. Opposite direction, feel the hip turning in now. Notice if the one hip was as easy as the other one. I can definitely feel this is not as glidey as the other one for myself. And then your knees and ankles, and eventually down to the toes. And shake it out. Right. So let's go to a full body opening. So we're going to spiral with the teacups in our hands. Our hands, palms are facing upwards with those tiny little Chinese teacups in. And we sink our hips and let our bottom go behind as we spiral behind. Do it slowly. And then come up. As you come up, you open your groin. Keep your chin tucked in. Take your hands over your head and behind. As you come forwards, pull your tummy in as you go back into a squat there. Really strengthening your hips and your lower back. And then open your groin. That's where your big femoral artery goes through, and the femoral vein. And when you sit all day, it gets all scrunkled and occluded. So you're getting nice, beautiful blood flow. So as we're doing these movements, it's not just the joints, but it's the circulation that's going through and past these joints. It's also getting a chance just to really open up and flood the whole body with nice new oxygen and energy. Always coming back. And you may go to the gym and jump around and do lots of things, but very often you're not getting your full range of movement. So there's lots of different ways to exercise, and Qigong was one of them. And one of the benefits of Qigong is you do things slowly enough to actually feel the full movement and all the little spirals that are added to it and can be added to it. One more, coming along. There we go. Up. And relax. Keep it down. Just close your eyes for a second again and notice how your body's feeling. You may feel a little bit taller, a little bit longer. You might even feel a little bit stronger. Or you may feel part of your body that said, oh, that was actually hard. I need a little bit more movement through there. Okay, so it lets you know where you need to do a bit more work. Let's just finish this jointy part with our last one, which is Enlightened Tiger, which is a really beautiful movement. Back of the hands coming up together. One hand then going forwards and back, and allow your fingers to curl into a tiger claw. And then soften your knees as you turn around again and open back and front. So called Enlightened Tiger here because when we stretch out and we look forwards, we think of what lies in the future without worrying about it. And when we open up to the back, we think about what was in the past that maybe was not so great, and we let it go. So that's an out breath. An in breath as the hands come up, and out breath as you open up. Letting go of any kind of anxiousness about the future, and letting go of the stuff in the past that wasn't so great. So kind of clearing both those areas so that you can be present in the moment. Present in the moment, you can often see much more clearly. And then open up and now stretch your arms front and back and pull your hands back. So letting your thigh pull open there. And then looking in front and being inspired by what's in the future. And then looking at the back and learning from the wisdom, what you've learned from the past. Coming back and the same to the other side. Open up, pulling your hands back, long stretch through your arms, looking forwards again with confidence into the future and looking back in gratitude for your past and coming back. And then just a few little opens. You don't even have to go too far behind and in front. Almost feel as if you're walking down the fields and just sowing seeds. So grasping the seeds from your basket and scattering them. Making your contribution to life, whatever it might be. And relax. And we'll go into one or two flows. Just go into opening the flow. So this is our very traditional open Tai Chi opening. Tai Chi always starts with this movement. So floating your hands up on the breath as you breathe in. Shoulders, elbows, hands coming up last. Shoulders, elbows, hands. Shoulders, elbows, hands. Shoulders, elbows, hands. Imagine that you've got ribbons, the ends of your fingers, and imagine them just floating in the breeze as you do this. So when we go into flows, we're looking for effortless movement here. We've done a lot of action in all the silk reeling of the joints, but here we're just really quietly flowing with the breath and the body's energy. Breathe in as you come up. Breathe out as you go down. Allowing your body to rise, so your hands go up and sink as you come down. So in Qigong there, so the body is opening and closing, rising and sinking. Always a rhythm, breathing in and breathing out. Notice if you can feel the texture of the air as you move through it. Now just one side up and down, opposite side up and down. As you go feel forwards, feel the whole right side of the body moving and the left side moving. Two hands going up, coming down. Two hands coming up, down. One hand going up all the way around. Kuan Yin paints the rainbow. Watch your hand as it goes behind. Bend down as you come down towards the ground and then up. They join together and come down. One hand goes up. Watch your hands goes forwards. Above you, painting the rainbow down to the ground, and then they join each other and come back. One hand goes up, breath in, breath out. Notice how the hands are facing in opposite directions, and then you turn to get them come down in the same direction. Breathe in. Two hands down. Notice if you feel a bit of buzzing in your fingers by now. We've conjured up quite a lot of energy here with our spirals and our moving through the outer space out in the body's outer biomagnetic field. We're kind of still within our own biomagnetic field out here. We're just tuning it all up and coming down. Hands going to either side of you. Feel gravity pulling on your fingers. Feel that biomagnetic force. Breathing in. Big turn, breathe out. Soften your knees and your tailbone. Breathe in, reaching right up to the universe, the stars and the planets. And then slowly coming down, combing through your own biomagnetic field. Smooth and energized, opening up again, feeling gravity. Opening up to nature around you, whether it's a sea or the mountains or just a little bit of snow outside, up to the stars. Just imagine a waterfall falling, coming down, washing through your body. Hands just below your navel, feet in together. And close your eyes and notice your feet on the ground. It's been quite a grounded class, so my feet feel very, very rooted. Notice any sounds in your environment. If there are no sounds in your environment, you might notice your breathing, the sound of your heartbeat. In the old days, there was always a clock ticking, but not anymore. Allow your face to soften, space between your eyebrows, back of your head and neck. And become aware of your breath, whether it's as it comes through the nose or as it goes down towards the diaphragm, towards the belly. Maybe you'll notice the movement of the belly or the movement of the rib cage. Just be aware of it. The saying is, be comfortable with your breath and be comfortable with life. And allow your hands to drop. Slowly open your eyes. Just move around quietly for a couple of seconds. Always a good way to end a session that you've been working with. Look into the distance a little bit. Maybe notice the colors of things around you or just the spaces. Right. Thank you for joining Qigong practice.